Hello and welcome to the video. This video is to do a final on one of my builds, which I did for a group build hosted by Paul over at Styrene Relics. And that was the scale build of Gentleman group build, which was done in the T.R.O.G or the Race of Gentlemen style building, which is kind of mid-50s and earlier style hot rods, the real traditional style hot rodding and drag cars of the day. Paul had a few rules for us to follow just to kind of keep us in the correct era. And then when we signed up, we did get a number from Paul, and mine was number 3, so that had to be on the vehicle in a couple of places. But moving on to my kit, I started off with the 34 Ford pickup 3-in-1 customizing kit from AMT. And that was my kit of choice. A little something different, I thought. But if you've been following along with the weekly updates, you've kind of seen it progress. If you haven't, I will try to do a recap in this video of the things that I've done in this build. But if you can't find that here, check the updates or just shoot me a message and I'll try to answer anything the best I can. But let's get into the reveal. Alrighty, here she is. You might have got a sneak peek from the thumbnail. And then of course, if you've been following along with the updates. But we'll kind of give her a spin around here, kind of at ground level. We will do some overhead shots to give you a few more looks at the build. Again, this is the AMT 34 Ford pickup. It is mostly all of the kit minus the engine and seats, roll bar, and then any kind of detail plumbing and wiring, which was added from various things. But otherwise, a good majority of it is just straight out of the kit, either modified or used as is. We'll kind of start in the back there with the bed. That was chopped and shortened roughly 1 scale foot. And then the cab, of course, lost its roof, turned it into a Roadster style pickup. And then a little chop on the windshield. Get that in there. We also sectioned the body to create a kind of a line between the body line on the cab and that kind of bed line there. Kind of give that a more flowing look. Then we section the grill down to kind of match the cab. The headlights, we removed them from the mounting bar and then mounted them down on the frame rails. Again, that is the kit grill, kit headlights, kit wheels and tires, kit frame, everything there. Again, the only thing is the engine and seats, roll bar, and detail. Taillights are the custom kit taillights. We'll take a look underneath. Again, almost all of it is kits other than the detail. We did add the brake lines there. I don't know if you can see that up there. There is a fuel line coming from the fuel tank. Tried to fully plumb and wire this one as much as I can. There's even battery cables coming out of that battery box. And you can see the brake lines going up front into the front suspension. I'll give you an overhead shot. And we'll get another look at everything again when we go overhead. I'll have some better lighting for showing off that stuff. I think that is a pretty good look at it here at ground level. Let me move the camera and we'll talk a little bit more. Alright, here we are in more of an overhead view. Let you see kind of down in it. More of a first person look into the vehicle. Put it on a different turntable. We'll get this spinning later, but we'll talk about it. Again, in the bed, we did some wood grain and the metal slats are just painted. Of course, you can see some of the weathering and dusting. Kind of want to add that beach sand and spray around the vehicle. See it kind of packed up in the bed cracks, front of the wheels, along the firewall, just to give it a little bit of a used look. I don't want to get super beaten or abused, but give it some character and use out of it. Again, these seats were just some resin ones that I picked up. Seat belts are kind of photo etch scrap runners and some ribbon. They're just tied down to some D-rings. We got these shifters and brake. Gauge is done kind of in a gold or brass coloring. We do have some dirt and grit in the floor, again to give it some beach use look. But kind of moving on to the main thing was this VCG resin Ford Flathead with the Frenzel Supercharger. You can see the name right there. We tried to plumb and wire everything. We got all 4 radiator hoses on. That was a challenge, to say the least. Got the belt, obviously, plugs and wires. I didn't do those up real neat. I figure it's a race car. You just kind of slap it together and get it going sometimes. We did add a fuel line with a little fuel pressure gauge there. We have all the throttle linkage linked up, and that runs in through the firewall. And we got the fuel lines detailed out the carburetors. We do have 1 grill brace running there, coil wire. We do have some other wiring going up to, I just kind of figured this was a fuse box or a relay box. We run blue wire as headlights. Do have black wire for coil and yellow wire for accessories. You can kind of see some of the good grime, little staining on the chrome headers. That pretty much covers everything. Just kind of colored some of the linkage on those carburetors to show those off. It was such a great looking 3D printed engine that I wanted to do everything I could to highlight it and show it off. And I figured an open Roadster pickup would be a great place to do that. You know, give a look underneath, a little brass drain plug. And there's the brake lines. There's the fuel line running up from the gas tank. I don't know if you can see. You can see that the starter is wired as well. Just really challenged myself to do some plumbing and wiring. Check it out, as well as trying out some weathering and grit and grime. My first time for really doing anything more than plugs and wires. And then again, we added first time for seat belts, first time for, you know, grime and things of that nature. I think it turned out really well. I'm satisfied with it. A little soot coming off of the headers. But again, if you guys have any other questions, if I missed anything on this, please let me know. It was a really fun group build. I really appreciate Paul hosting this one and putting it on for us. I really enjoyed seeing everyone else's. And with that, have a good day.